I know he threw 5 touchdowns and all that stuff. But it's interesting because I can say this out loud because I'm with you and other people. He's Byron Leftwich.
Gotcha. Yeah.
He's a pocket passer.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Yeah, definitely.
He's got arm strength. It's cool.
Yep.
But if you're going to take him, in the top 5, top 10, top 15 in the first round, you better have a good old line. You better have a good old line because he's not mobile whatsoever. And I probably shouldn't be saying this, but I am because I'm being honest. That he's okay. He's all right. I like Leftwich.
Yeah.
I like Leftwich. And of course he went to the league and was in the league for a long time, and he was a guy that he was a guy. I don't see Haskins, being anything special. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
The guy we took last year in Cleveland.
Yeah.
He's special, hands down. He's special.
Well,
because he can move.
That's true, and it's so important in today's modern era of football. And I think Baker's it's being proven out. I mean, Baker Mayfield to come in to have some of the the growing pains that you had with outgoing head coach and a new system and all that kind of stuff, and to be able to stay focused, to be able to break the NFL's record for most touchdowns thrown by a rookie. I believe he had 27 over the regular season. Obviously, to put Cleveland in position to be competing for the playoffs the very last week of the regular season. I mean, Baker Mayfield has proven that he is special. And Dwayne Haskins, I agree with you. I think that he's kind of a classic pocket passer. And, to me, that's one of the fascinating things about this is that there's been such a stereotype in the past of Urban Meyer quarterbacks. Obviously in the past, he's had so many quarterbacks that have been those dual threat passers. So I think that
you got to be nice. I took Alex Smith, just so you know.
Well, exactly. And obviously a very good player, but another dual threat passer is, as you well know. And so that's the thing is that it's not just that Haskins is a young player with only one season as a starter, but he's coming from an offense that, with the exception of Alex Smith, because the only other first round pick that's played for Urban Meyer was Tim Tebow, and there's not been a lot of quarterbacks that have come from his system and been successful. I mean, Alex Smith is clearly the best, and so I see Haskins, I see accuracy from the pocket, but with Byron Leftwich, I mean, he had that big wind-up. And it's not to me that Haskins, when I look at him, I don't see the big wind-up, but he still has that kind of quirky three-quarter release that, to me, makes him a little bit shorter than, and I'm curious to see what he measures in at. He looked maybe 6'2", 6'3", but he's no 6'5". I mean, this,
No, he's going to be big, though, but you nailed it. It's a long release. It's a slow feet.
Yeah,
he needs an offensive line to protect him.
And that's the thing is that, of course, we know that developing an offensive line is one of the most difficult things in the NFL, especially if you don't have the footwork to be able to, to move around and buy some time in the pocket. And obviously at Ohio State, Dwayne Haskins was surrounded by a great deal of talent. So,
correct.
To me, it's a fascinating decision for a redshirt sophomore, again, with only one season as a starter, to make that decision to come out early. I do believe he's going to go in the first round, but like you, I mean, I have some concerns about him. I don't know that. I'll say this. You look at last year, we saw 5 quarterbacks go in the first round. I feel very comfortably saying that at least the first 3, Baker, Darnold, and Rosen, would have comfortably been ahead of Haskins or Daniel Jones or any other quarterback in this class. And then, Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, I mean, they're such, intriguing athletes that their upside is so exciting. And so I think that their upside you could arguably say would put them ahead of Haskins as well. So it's quite the gamble. But as we've talked about, quarterbacks are going to go. There's going to be some NFL or some quarterback needy team in the first round who's going to be taking a quarterback. And so I think that Haskins is likely to go there, but I just don't think that he's the surefire franchise quarterback that maybe one might think, given the fact that he did leave with 50 touchdowns, this season, and of course had the spectacular MVP performance that he did in that Rose Bowl game.
I totally agree with you. And I've been around long enough to visualize what's supposed to be right and supposed to be wrong. I totally agree with you. He can go where he goes because, like you said, quarterbacks are going to go no matter what. But you need to find the right player. You need to find, Brett Favre. You need to find a Carson Palmer. You need to find a Baker Mayfield. That's what makes you good. It doesn't matter. You can add as many quarterbacks as you want to add to your roster, but they got to have the it factor. They got to be able to step in and produce. And they have to, I was lucky enough to be with Favre, lucky enough to be with Hasselbeck, lucky enough to be with Russell Wilson. They had the it factor. They understood how the game's supposed to work. They understood how the offense was going to work, and they took care of the ball.
Oh, that's a great point, and I think that sometimes there's going to be people who haven't had a chance to meet some of these great players, be around them the way that you have, and even me, going to the Senior Bowl as many times as I have. I've been going since 2001. Had an opportunity to interview so many players at the Combine and the Senior Bowl, and I absolutely agree with you, Scott. There is an it factor, especially at the quarterback position. I mean, and some of the guys who didn't go on to be really successful in the NFL, I'll give you like an Aaron Murray, for example, for Georgia. But you could just, when I interviewed him at the Senior Bowl, I was just immediately put at ease by just his composure, his confidence in himself. But at the same time, he didn't walk around as if he was so much better than everybody else. He had that kind of quarterback attitude, but at the same time also could talk to other people. And it's the same thing I've seen from interviewing guys like a Russell Wilson, like a Andrew Luck, like a Peyton Manning, a Kirk Cousins. I mean, all of them had that kind of, whether it be the it factor, like they're just flashy, they're the Cam Newtons, they're just the best athlete in the room, or if they have that it factor in that they've seen it, they have the poise and the confidence, and that, hey, if this guy can do it. And so I agree. I think that is such a critical element of evaluating, especially quarterbacks. And that's my concern, is I don't know that there is a quarterback in this class that has that it factor. And that's one of the reasons why I am so excited to go to the Senior Bowl and go with the Combine and all those different things to see if I can find a quarterback that I believe has one, because I'm not so sure I think that there is one yet this year.
The kid from Duke is really cool, Daniel Jones.
I'm excited to see him. He's just announced a couple of days ago he's going to be going to the Senior Bowl, and I think that's a good move for him. I mean, to me, I told you this before, Scott. I mean, and I don't say this with pride, but I was not a big Baker fan until I saw him in person, and that his arm strength he proved to me in the first couple of throws. I mean, sitting literally right next to Josh Allen, you could see the ball zip out of both their hands, and it was like, wow. This shorter quarterback, he's got a heck of a lot bigger arm than I gave him credit for based on tape. And then, of course, all the intangibles. And so with Jones, that's been one of my concerns is I personally watch him on tape and I have some reservations about the arm, but I love the competitiveness to say, you know what, I know I could probably be a first round pick. At least that's what the NFL Advisory Committee said, but I'm still going to go to Mobile, Alabama, compete against the best in the world, and see what I can do. And that to me is, if you want to show that you have that it factor, that's how you do it. So very excited to see what he can do.
There's no doubt about it. Absolutely no doubt about it. The thing about him, when you watch the tape, and Duke's Duke, it's a basketball school, first of all. But for him to be a Cutcliffe, who's a really good quarterback coach, has trained him the right way. And I promise you this, when you get to the Senior Bowl, you'll see arm strength. The guy can make every throw. And he's going to be whatever, 6'4", 6'5", 220, 230, whatever he is. But he is talented. And he's one of those guys, everybody looks back at and says, okay, well, he's Duke. It's like Villanova. It's like whatever, Harvard. but he proves on tape that he can play football. And, the thing of is he going to be a superstar from the get-go? Who knows? But he's got the size, he's got the arm talent, he's got the movement skills to be a really good player in the NFL.
Well, and I'm happy you mentioned the movement skills because, again, it's, we talked about Haskins, how there's kind of this stereotype. People think, oh, he's an Urban Meyer quarterback. He's got to be athletic. Well, the opposite is true. Oh, he's a Duke quarterback. He's a big, tall, lanky white guy. He can't possibly move. And he's, of course, anybody who watches him knows that Jones is a heck of an athlete.
He is.
And so, I agree with you. I'm happy that you mentioned that. Well, a couple other of the bowl games that kind of jumped out at me. I was so impressed. I guess I should have known this, with all due respect to Clemson and, obviously ACC team beating Alabama, the SEC. Then that kind of ruined the whole reputation of the SEC in some people's eyes. But I thought that in a different matchup between an SEC team and an ACC team, Texas A&M, and the way they just destroyed North Carolina State in that Gator Bowl, 52-13. Trevion Williams, I've been telling you all year long, Scott, show me a running back. Well, I've seen a couple over these last few weeks. And so Trevion Williams, he's no sleeper. Everybody knew who he was. But still, to go out and have 236 rushing yards, 3 touchdowns, what a capper to a spectacular career at Texas A&M. Is a dynamic runner, so excited about him. Benny Snell from Kentucky, 142 yards, a couple of touchdowns in the Citrus Bowl. We mentioned the Rose Bowl before. Miles Gaskin for UW. He had 3 scores, and he showed better speed against Ohio State's speedy linebackers than I thought that he might in that game. So that was one of the things I really wanted to make sure I talked about. Is that I did see some running backs who I thought played better in the bowl game setting than I anticipated, and so I'm warming up to this running back class. Do you have any thoughts on any players or programs that jumped out at you?
No, not really. The guys showed up. The guys that did show up are the guys that have played well in the past.
Yeah.
I don't think it's a deep running back class. I really don't.
Yeah.
But still, there's players, and they're football players for a reason. And if you show up in a bowl game and produce, it means you have the integrity, the it factor from the standpoint of showing up and making plays. And the 3 guys you mentioned, good players, no doubt about it. Are they legit number 1s, legit number 2s in the league? Who knows? But they showed that they can produce in a big environment.
Yep, I agree. That's the thing is I think that's ultimately where we're at. Is I said before I don't think this is a great quarterback class, and I have some reservations about it. I think the same thing with the running backs. For me, my personal top-rated running back, and I don't know if he's going to come out yet or not. There's been some talk that he might, but Josh Jacobs of Alabama, he's the back I see the flashes with the most.
He's coming out.
Yeah, that's why. He'd like to think that he would just because of that talent, but but it's just his burst, his power. He had the one catch he made against Clemson, where he kind of is running one way, has to turn his body and make the catch on the opposite shoulder. That's just a little bit more flexibility and comfort with the ball in the air than I had seen from Jacobs in the past. So to me, and then he made some beautiful blocks and pass protection as well. And so to me, those are all the traits I'm looking for. Now, obviously, he doesn't have the track record of some of these other backs and their success, but I'm not looking at track record. I'm looking at traits. And for my money, if there is a back in this class, at least one that I've seen so far, that I think is worthy of, I don't know, first round, but I think he's going to be the first back selected. So it'll be interesting to see if that holds true.
Well, the thing that's funny about it is he's a backup to Damian Harris, who's a really good player.
He is.
But Jacobs, he's the one that's going to go. I guarantee it.
Yeah.
If he comes out, he's gonna go. He's talented. He's got size. He's got ball skills. He's got vision. He's got athleticism.